Om Apara Satchit Sukhavari Rashir Yasyor Mimatram Bhuvanam Samastam Guhahitam Tam Ramanam Gabhiram Chinta Vihinam Radhichintayami. This life is a mystery. This universe is an endless puzzle. As we go through life, we generally experience certain discontent, dissatisfaction. The poor and the rich, everybody in fact, feels they have not reached their goal. Everybody feels a certain inadequacy. Everybody looks forward to the coming days, the coming years, where they hope to be fulfilled. Everybody longs for some self-improvement, some promotion, getting better than where they are now, what they are now. In other words, who on this earth is free from a desire to become somebody? This hunger for self-improvement from the highest point of view of Advaita Vedanta is a fundamental disease. Wanting to become somebody is a primary bug in the human mind. The Vedanta always talks about a changeless reality which we already are, and the fancy about change which is getting better. All of you perhaps know the story of a visitor to Shri Ramana Ashram who, after spending 10 days, was taking leave of Maharshi Ramana, but his face was a bit sad. When Maharshi kindly inquired, "Is something bothering you?" the man said, "Swami, the ashram is so wonderful, people are all good, but I feel that I have not changed." Maharshi said, "You never change." This was like adding insult to injury. The man was shocked. Normally, Mahatmas speak some consoling words. Maybe the man expected something like, "Don't worry, do this japa, do this prayer, do this, and you will change." In contrast, Maharshi said, "You never change." Luckily for that man, there were some scholars nearby who took him to a side and explained to him, said to him that the words of Maharshi today are a great blessing to you. While you are identified with your personality, which is a fundamental error, identification with this body and mind, the Vedanta is never tired of saying, is a primary error. It is the primary mark of avidya bhumi, the frame of reference of ignorance. When there is no right seeing, this is what happens. We are endlessly identified with the self, the ego, the body, mind and intellect, the BMI, and we are endlessly attached to a certain image of ours without knowing who we really are. So those scholars explain to this visitor, well, you are seeing yourself from the personality point of view. Maharshi sees you as the pure self. For Maharshi, everyone is the pure self only. And being the pure self already, which is infinite, which is boundless, what change are you looking for? So this is really mind-boggling. On one hand, there is the desire to become. On the other, there is the revelation that Tattvamasi, you are that. While Tattvamasi, you are that, looks highly philosophical and somewhat abstract, one of the practical implications of it is you and I watch the mind in operation, while the conditioned mind, the habitual thought process, does raise varieties of fancies of what we may become, what we may get, where we may be honored, where we may be appreciated, while the conditioned mind constantly fears where we could be insulted, where we could be demoted, where somebody might not receive us well, where we may fall sick, get very old, suffer from all kinds of pain, and where we may finally die. Conditioned mind fears all this. So, one aspect of the field of change is getting sick, losing out, getting old, and dying. Another aspect of the field of change is getting better, getting healthier, getting profits, staying young, and never dying. Vedanta says this field of change, where either you get better or you go worse, is in its entirety an illusion. It is put together by thought, and untouched by thought is your true nature. So this session of the webinar, we are considering the topic becoming and being. Becoming is in time. Being is above time. Becoming is in thought. Being is above thought. Becoming is the ego process. Being is the awareness free of ego. So here we are considering these two, being and becoming, the field of staying in one's true nature and the field of constantly changing. So, in the very first verse of Saddarshanam, the Sanskrit rendering of Ulladu Napattu of Shri Ramana Maharshi, we are advised to question all our ideas of rise and fall. We are advised to question all notions of self-improvement. This is Paramartha Vidya. This is Moksha Shastra. please do not mix this up with the second notch vidya, which has its place, that is of integration of personality. When we have no single pointedness, when we have no ability to see things, when we are imagining all sorts of things, there surely is a case for gathering our energy, collecting ourselves. We call it Yoga Shastra. But then, Yoga Shastra should not end up as a trap. Yoga Shastra should not become a net in which we are caught. Yoga Shastra, with all due respect, gives to us the necessary clarity, energy to see the truth as it is. The crux of spirituality is this right seeing, Samyak Darshana. In Samyak Darshana, one sees that all this self-improvement, to use a Hindi word, is bakwas, all wasteful talk. Mahatmas like Ramana Maharshi, Nisargadatta, and many other enlightened ones calmly tell us, question your basic presumptions. But we are so caught in ideas of where we are good, where we are not good, where we must improve, where we have excess probably, where we may take from somebody, where we may give to somebody. So many ideas, and all of them look absolutely real to us. But Maharshi in the very first verse says, a million ideas of this is here, that is there, million ideas of here is a mountain, there is a river, here I am head of a department, over there I am a follower of somebody. All these are a million ideas of what we call philosophically qualified existence. That is Savishesha Satta. Vishesha means a certain qualification. Something is in the form of a table, let us say. Something is in the form of a table. So something is the pure existence. But once you say something is in the form of a table, something is in the form of a flower, something is in the form of a flowing river, something is in the form of a steady, unmoving mountain. So once this in the form of A or B, X or Y comes in, it is qualified existence. Sa Vishesha Satta. Then there is Nirvishesha Satta. Existence with no boundaries, with no description. So it is the pure isness. Saddarshanam, running totally into 44 Sanskrit verses, though originally it was a set of 40, with some prayer shlokas and with some concluding remarks, the whole bunch grew into 44 verses. This Saddarshanam begins with a bang. Can millions of ideas of X is or Y is come into being at all unless there is the pure isness? Before the idea table is, chair is, an old man is, a young lady is, before all these ideas come, there has to be in the first place just pure isness. Just as Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 6, has this powerful metaphor. Out of clay, many things are made. A plate, a pitcher, a flower vase, a doll of a boy, a doll of a girl. So many things are made of clay. And all of them have some vyavaharika upayoga, some transactional use. In a pitcher, you may store water. In a flower vase, you may put some flowers and it will look nice. On a plate, you may keep some fruits, for example. But on a different plane, the plate and the pitcher and the flower vase and many other things are all clay only. There is the punchline in the mouth of Uddalaka, the father of Shvetaketu. Mrittika iti eva satyam. Clay alone is true. In Indian English, we call clay, of which all these are made, mud also. Mud and things made of mud. Like mud and a mud pot. Pujya Swami Chinmayananji used to roar with a touch of humor. Uddalaka says, Madeva Satyam. Mud alone is true. Rest of it is some shapes and forms and figures. In other words, while the analogy has its own limitations, the point conveyed is the unshakable and unvarying truth of our existence is I am. I am a loser is one confusion, I am a winner is another confusion. I am doing well is one idea, I am not doing well at all these days is another idea. The wise would look at all these ideas without getting identified with them. So the shloka about which I said, it begins with a bang, goes like this. Sat pratyaya kinnu vihaya santam hridyesha chinta rahito hridakya katham smaramastamameyamekam tasya smritih tatra dridhā nisthā. Sat pratyaya. Leave the mud pot or the clay pot, leave the mountains and rivers. In the context of self-inquiry, pay attention to all those pratyayas, ideas about how you are, including religious descriptions. I am merited. I am a sinner. I am a very good meditator these days. Or I used to be a good meditator. Now I lost my concentration. Now I lost the quality of attention. All these are aham pratyaya. On a broader base, it is sat pratyaya. As applied to self-inquiry, aham pratyaya. Can aham pratyayas appear at all unless there is the pure aham? The changing aham, once more, the aham that gets better as well as the aham that goes worse, is a mere appearance upon the pure aham, which is changeless. So in the Upadesha Sara, Maharshi points out, if we make true inquiry, if we make Atma Vichara, then the changing aham dies. Ahami nasha bhaji ahamahantaya spurati hratsvayam paramapurna sat. When the limited I, which is subject to change, which is subject to becoming, dies. Nasha bhaji. This was anyhow an illusion, but it was looking real. When the dream ends, we wake up and realize, aha, I am fine. I was not drowning in a river, or I was not attacked by some robbers. Or maybe up-to-date example is You get up from an afternoon siesta, get up from the dream and, oh, thank God, I am not, you know, attacked by corona. I have not tested positive for corona. In my dream, I was being quarantined. Ha, I am not so. You realize. Even when in the dream you saw yourself as quarantined because you tested positive or you were suspected of having coronavirus in you, even at that time, it was an illusion in the dream example. In reality, you are fine, you were fine, you will be fine. We can say so. So, just as varieties of ideas hijack us, Maharshi says, all our ideas in the secular context or in spiritual context of improving or going down are actually mere ideas. And the practical side of it is, if you say all the philosophy is fine, what am I to do? The one word answer, one compound word answer is self-awareness. Stay aware, stay self-aware, meaning be that pure awareness. Nivatastita deepavat, as Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 says. Yata deepo nivatasto nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmana. The flame of a candle, the candle being placed in a windless spot, wavers not. The flame is steady and it's burning bright. Likewise, when you stay as awareness, you don't resist any thought, nor do you embrace any thought. In that awareness, thought finds its place. Thought has its place in life, but to think of thought as the reality, to think of thought as the major force, to invest in thought is spiritual foolishness. Therefore, in this very verse, there is this expression, chinta vihina, satpratyaya kinnu vihaya santam, hridyesha chinta rahito hridakya, chinta rahita, free of thought. Vedanta is not opposed to thought. Vedanta wisdom can stay with thought, along with thought. Wisdom of Vedanta can accompany flow of thoughts. Just as your being able to see water doesn't require that the waves of the ocean subside and stop. Even as the waves are rising and falling, you see the water in the ocean. Even as your daughter is wearing some jewelry which has some shape, you see gold. You don't say to your daughter, you see, when that ornament has all that attractive shape, I fail to see gold over there. Gold is gold, whether there is some shape of the ornament or it is just a plain biscuit. So once error is removed, thanks to inquiry, or in classical Vedanta, thanks to contemplation on Mahavakyas. You contemplate on the revelation of the Upanishads. Guided by competent teachers, you dwell on the right meaning of Tattvamasi, the right meaning of Aham Brahmasmi. of Prajnanam Brahma, of Ayamatma Brahma, or of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. If you have Sanskrit knowledge, good. Otherwise also, it is not about Sanskrit or some particular language. There are so many Sanskrit scholars who can give long lectures also on the Vedanta, but they may not be free. Some of them may be, but many of them are not free. Whereas there are some mystics, some saints, some sages who, through competent guidance from a teacher, thanks to their own sanskaras, their own chitta shuddhi, get that insight. I am the truth. I am the pure awareness. In their case, all the illusions built by thought collapse like a house of cards. In the very first verse, Maharshi Ramana raises the question, Katham smaramaha tam ameyam ekam. How are we to dwell on or contemplate upon that supreme truth which is immeasurable and which is one without a second? Ameyam ekam katham smaramaha. And the answer is given, tasya smritih. The way to remember it is not really a way, meaning there is no step 1, step 2, step 3. Because if it were to be yet another exercise on the axis of time in the domain of becoming, there could be step 1, step 2, step 3. But you may say, but it is said, Shrotavya for step 1, Mantavya step 2, Nididhyasitavya step 3. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana have been talked of as steps. We say all that is talked of, yes, as applicable to avidya bhumi. Once there is a deeper appreciation of what it is all about, the steps merge into one. Therefore, it is rightly said in the Vedantas, in the commentaries of Shankara and so on, that for the truly ripe mind, Shravana alone is enough. Shravana matrena muktihi. When the mind is not ripe, when the mind has certain impurities, Shravana is followed by Manana, then followed by Nididhyasana. So though Manana and Nididhyasana are mentioned, they are in the context of certain indigestion of Shravana. And for the right person, Shravana itself includes Manana, includes Nididhyasana, includes everything. It is just a moment affair. In fact, it defies time. Enlightenment is not on the axis of time. It is awaking from time. Time itself is part of the dream. Time itself is part of the illusion. Time, thought, the self, the ego, the ahamvritti, all of them are on par. It's not that time remains and ahamvritti ends at point T1. Time remaining. No. When ahamvritti ends, time also ends, ego ends, self ends, and that particular state, I should not say particular, that state, because you can refer to something as particular if there are other things. You have 10 cows, and pointing to the third cow, you say this particular cow gives more milk because there are 9 other cows. So this particular state of being would be in that sense objectionable. The state of awareness, the pure state of awareness, the best way to remember it is, it's not really remembering, it is more to be. Therefore, the shloka ends with the expression tasya smritih tatra dridhā eva nisthā. Just be. What's the way to be? How do I succeed in being? Wrong question. Because where how comes, where how and why, where ideas of method and technique, etc. come, you have already kept away from being. You are sinking in the quicksand of becoming. From being to becoming, there is no ladder. Becoming and being are not of same kind. In other words, they are of different kind. So it's not a matter of progression in degree. It is a switching over to another kind. So we are moving from becoming to being. Though we say moving, it is not that there is a path, there is a track, there is a ladder. If somebody wakes up from a dream, do you ask, oh, in your dream, you were in Mysore and now you have come to Chennai. So how did you walk all that distance? That person will smile. I was in Mysore in my dream and now I am in Chennai. That Mysore was illusion. This Chennai is real. Within the context of that example, it can be said. But otherwise, Mysore and Chennai, good and bad, merit and sin, spiritually backward and spiritually advanced, are all in the domain of appearance. Sometimes we say illusion. Some people take that word illusion to be derogatory. There is nothing derogatory about it. This universe, this Srishti is wonderful. But talking of what is the truth, we say all this is an appearance. It's a beautiful appearance at times and it's terrible, full of sorrow at other. Both joy and sorrow of the world are a mere appearance. The rainbow is beautiful and somewhere else the ghost on the post is so scary. In reality, there is no rainbow, there are only water drops, and there is no ghost, there is only a post, signpost, or the stump of a tree. So it is a switching from appearance to the reality. Tatra dridhā nisthā. That is the last part, and Shri Ramana Maharshi indirectly hints that what is involved is not effort, but letting go of effort. Maybe you call that in Bhakti Yoga, Sharanagati, surrender. You surrender. Sharanagati, Prapatti. Someone says, the last lap of the spiritual journey is where effort ends and effortlessness begins. Someone put it in a more picturesque manner. The last part of spiritual journey is something where you are sucked in. You don't do anything, you get sucked in. So these are various ways of expressing the same. But in summary, chinta-rahitam, that which is unaltered, unmodified, untouched by thought. Sat-pratyaya kinnu vihaya santam hridiyesha chinta-rahito hridakya. In our heart, and also named as the heart, this truth shines. And just to be that is the way to contemplate. Any other contemplation would have the division between the one who contemplates and that upon which one contemplates. This contemplation of the nature of being, of nisthā, is where one lets go of all divisions. Thought-created divisions are dispensed with. Then, though in a manner of saying we say realization takes place, it's a very quiet, non-phenomenal matter. It's a non-event. It's not an event in time. The truth was, is, and will be. And one then knows, I am this truth. So with no insult meant to wondrous forms of becoming in this world, we only wish to point out that absolute freedom is not in the field of becoming. The absolute freedom is the fragrance of pure being. To be and not to be carried away by becoming is the higher wisdom. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Let's see whether people have some questions. So A.R. Ganti has a question. Please explain samyak in samyak darshana, the term you used. Is it similar to sanyama in atma sanyama? So it is not samyat, not sanyama. It is samyak, S-A-M-Y-A-K. And by sandhi, it becomes samyag, S-A-M-Y-A-G. So samyak is rightly, rightly, properly. So samyak darshana is seeing properly. If you see an apple as an apple, that is samyak darshana. If you see an apple and say, that's a nice cricket ball. If you see an apple and wonder, what kind of flower is this? It's not a cricket ball. It's not a flower. So to see it as a cricket ball or as a flower is asamyak darshana. Samyak. Samyak means right, correct, or proper. The second question is samyak darshana equivalent to sthita prajna? Grammatically or going by language, it's like this. One who has samyak darshana is sthita prajna. Sthita prajna is how we call someone with the highest wisdom. Someone has the highest wisdom when one has samyak darshana. So right seeing and somebody who has the supreme wisdom, steady wisdom. Sthita means steady, stable. Prajna means wisdom. So yeah, they go together. But Sthita Prajna is a person and Samyak Darshana is that act of seeing rightly. So Dayananda Gummi Yes, just this to say, my pranams to Swamiji on holy. So he has given holy program, pranams, holy greetings, HOLY, as well as on HOLI. Looks like people are staying in sthiti, no gati. Okay, we have Krish Chilukuri. I'm trying to... mic is on. Yes, Radha Krishna.
Hari Om Swamiji. It's a very powerful message of being and becoming in that process. So in terms of practitioners, I heard this once from a monk and it has stayed with me for many years. And I just thought I'd share and ask a combination of the two. The most that we can expect to do is sit in meditation, slowly forget the body as a consequence of posture, and reduce the number of thoughts.
Yeah.
Just reduce minimum number of thoughts. And in that process, some fragrance exists. And, by some miracle, this is true in reality, but you don't know what the meaning of how it works. This fragrance carries forth when you are fully active, when you're fully active in the world. But it's difficult to keep it alive during the world, during immersion in the world.
During the emergence of the world, okay?
During immersion into the worldly activities, which most of us grahasthas are fully involved in, working 11 hours, 12 hours, that kind of thing. So it's just an observation and a question. And the other thing was Francis Lucille, who you come here to meet on your last trip, also said recently in one of his webinars, maybe 2 years, 3 years ago, that it's easier to reduce thought and smell the fragrance, but seeing the fragrance in the world will take much more difficult. Is much more difficult. Questions?
I didn't hear one word. Who said this?
Francis Lucille, your friend.
Oh yeah, Francis Lucille, whom we met.
Your friend. You visited him when you were here just 3 months ago. You were here. You met with him. It's very difficult to see that fragrance when you are immersed in the world. He said that it's much more easier to see. I think he said, this is many years ago, I can't remember because these things stick in our memory. He said that
he must have, right. He must have said it in a certain context. That is, Maharshi Ramana clarifies in Ramana Gita that true realization is once for all. It takes place instantaneously. And whenever there is some division or gradation, I'm able to feel the peace during meditation, but when I get into activities, it sort of slips away. And it is easy to see in oneself, it's difficult to see in the world and such things. He has respected it, but he said that is a phase of sadhana. It is not yet true realization. Though it is something that all of us would very much value. But apparently realization is once for all, and from the realized person's point of view, its job is done. Others may see that person slowly showing some powers, healing people, or appearing in some form, etc. These are all siddhis. In Ramana Gita, this question is taken up. Various siddhis start showing in that enlightened person. But from the point of view of the enlightened person himself, there is no more change. So this outside and inside, Francis, I guess, must have said from the sadhana point of view, where many milestones come. Maybe it is one advanced milestone where you experience a lot of peace when you are by yourself studying, contemplating, or in a satsang, but you find yourself quite disturbed when engaged in other activities. These could be milestones on that path of sadhana, whereas in samyak darshana, when it actually takes place, there is no such outside, inside world and within one and so on. That seems to be the case.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I take a text question now. Gargi says, what is the role of practice in awareness? Even an iota of practice technically is opposed to true awareness. That is how some mystics object to any practice. They say conscious meditation is no meditation. But they are thereby taking the whole matter to its extreme. I would rather say practice is within the domain of avidya bhumi. Practice is honoring the practitioner, honoring the karta. Practice, the very idea of practice gives a status to the practitioner. And the purpose of the practice is to end the practitioner. So looking at this contradiction, some mystics say practice or technique or time or effort, etc., have no room, no place in pure awareness. But we talk from our point of view. We have a tendency to think of ourselves as higher than somebody, more worthy than somebody, or not as advanced as somebody else. So practice involves weakening these ideas. So we stay aware of them and we non-verbally, if without using any word, we question that idea. The moment a thought arises in us, I have come a long way now. I'm far better than before. We question that. This is a very comforting thought. So quietly we gaze at it, and that is the practice. So as there is this gazing, these thoughts lose their strength. And then the pure awareness is where this mischief of thought no more gets the stamp of reality. Otherwise, in the avidya bhumi, not only thoughts rise, but they get the stamp of reality. I think so. I am meditating far better than olden days. How I used to feel sleepy. Now see, today, last 1.5 hours, I am meditating without even a minute or even a few seconds of sleepiness. So all this happens. So we do not look down at it. The practice where one overcomes vikshepa, laya, kashaya, and what is that? 4 obstacles are rasa swada. Vedanta Sara talks about 4 obstructions, right? Laya, vikshepa, kashaya, rasa swada, and such things. So if we are able to overcome them through practice, we attach some value to it. But from the highest point of view, it's only two camps. Either you are in ignorance or you are free. So that is the position of practice. Jyoti Varma has a question. Can you explain Nirvishesha Satta? Yes. See, sugar cube has a shape. Relatively speaking, the sugar powder, sugar granules have no particular shape, square or cube and so on. So, in that example, the powder or granules of sugar are nirvishesha satta. It is just sugar. So sat and satta mean the same here. Sat or isness, being without any particular shape. Moment you and I appreciate our existence as I am, without adding, I am a man, I am a woman, I am good, I am bad. Moment you add all those, they are the vitiation, they are the adjectives, they are the descriptions, they are the qualifiers. So without them it is nirvishesha. So sugar in the form of a cube is savishesha. That cube structure is the vishesha. So nirvishesha satta is indescribable sense of being with nothing attached to it. Here Arganti again comes in. Krish's comment reminds me of salt doll analogy of Shri Ramana. Can you expand on salt doll and mind as the waterproof coat? Yeah, this salt doll and waterproof coat, I'm not sure whether it was by Ramana or the Ramakrishna had talked of some salt doll trying to measure the depth of the sea. This seems to be same or maybe different. Okay, it's something like this, I guess. Ramana literature, I haven't come across this example. The salt doll is the ego, and it dives into the ocean to know the depth of the ocean. In the process, it dissolves away. But if the salt doll were to have a waterproof coat, then it won't dissolve, nor would it know the depth of the ocean properly. So what is the way in which this analogy is given by Ramana? I am yet to see in his literature. Probably the waterproof coat could be a desirable one, where one, without losing one's identity, one is able to know the depth. What they call elsewhere the gold thread. It is said people like Swami Vivekananda, though they had the highest wisdom, through a thin gold thread, that is a figurative way of expressing, through a thin gold thread, they were keeping a bit of an ego for good work to take place. So I can't say more unless I see the salt doll and waterproof coat metaphor in Ramana literature. Sharada Devulapalli asks, does a realized person aware of the siddhis or only outsiders see them? Somewhere Maharshi Ramana has said a realized person would not even be aware of the siddhis. But that perhaps is said in a certain context. The context being, for you and me, if some siddhi were to come to us, we would be very excited. We would be very self-conscious. We would be, celebrating. Hi, today I'm able to walk on water. Today I'm able to heal people by touching their head or something. We get agitated. We get so full of ourselves. But a realized person is anchored in the purest wisdom. So I don't think it literally means he is not aware of the siddhis, but for him, the siddhis are not significant. So in Ramana talks, there is one place where Maharshi Ramana says that Jesus Christ might have brought somebody alive, a dead person, back to life and moved on. Would he have known what he did? He asks, which means Jesus would not have even recognized. He did his job and moved on. So that, I think, is with the flavor of the Mahatmas. The highest Mahatmas don't care for these siddhis. I don't think it literally means they are not aware. They do see this fellow got up and walked again. So outsiders see them. They are also aware of them. But once more, one last time, for them it is not a big thing. So one more question about the first sloka. Is smriti memory here? The question begins with smriti taken as memory, but in the answer, the word smriti is stripped of that meaning, memory, and it is given the higher meaning of pure being. So this is a problem of the questioner's mindset and the mindset of the person who answers. The questioner is asking, how do we remember the self? Like remember God, think of God, we say. How do we think of the pure self? The questioner is asking from his own mindset. But the answer says, if you want to think of God, it's not thinking at all, it's not memory at all, it is to be. So the same word is carried over to the answer, while, as I said, it is stripped of its usual meaning. Like in Saddarshanam elsewhere, it says, to see God is to become food for him. Swayam tadanni bhavanam tadiksha. There is a shloka later on in Saddarshanam. So one begins with the idea, vision of God, but then in the answer, it is said, vision of God is, allow God to eat you up. You no more remain. You know. So that kind of switching is involved here. Soldal is in Maharshi's Gospel. Okay, I will check up with the Gospel. I have not seen that portion, it looks like. So unless I check in what sense he has talked about the what is that, waterproof coat, in a complimentary sense or in an uncomplimentary sense, I will have to check. Thank you. Now, let me see any last question for this session. All text questions seem to be over. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you all. We are all sadhaks trying to understand these great insights of Maharshi. Here and there, we may yet to get the right import of what these great visionaries had to say, but we are attempting that. Om Namo Narayana. Hari Om.